What up, everybody? It's Andy from Tap Trade. Today we're going to be looking at the markets using our proprietary trading indicator known as THOR. If this is your first time joining, THOR is, like I said, our proprietary trading indicator that we've used over the last 15 years to navigate all of the markets, cryptos, stocks, futures, forex, derivatives, everything in between. Currently, we are trading primarily stocks and cryptocurrencies using access to our algorithm through taptrade.io. We maintain an average of a 70% win rate cumulative total across all of our tracked assets. And you can find that historical information at taptrade.io/Thor. If you're looking to trade better, take emotions out of it, have what I like to refer to as the sledgehammer within your tool belt of trading tools, Thor is that. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I have used Thor myself to change my life. Alongside hundreds of other people in our community that have also learned how to use Thor, and it's just taken the guesswork out of trading. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit differently. I've had a ton of victory laps over the last couple of weeks. Just if you've been following the class, we've largely been trading like Injective, Jito, Solana. And so far, Thor's been a really useful tool in helping us just navigate those markets. Injective, it played perfectly. We just hit take profit 3 up into those one-day shorts. And now, subsequently, over the weekend, we have hit all the way down to take profit 3 on those shorts. That is a tracked live, not live, if you're joining us in the Discord or Telegram, it is. But that is just tracked. You got the proof. You got the historical proof. Go and look at the other videos leading back up to about 2 weeks ago when we really started planning some of these trades. And they just worked out. I'm going to share my screen for everybody in Discord. Bop. And go from there. So it's really cool when you're not just guessing anymore. And that these aren't just like conceptual conversations. These are trades that I took personally, even just from a spot trading perspective, and had somewhere around a 36% return. That's over the course of around a month. That's insane. I'm really proud of myself for that. And if anybody's getting returns like that already and consistently, GG, you're doing a great job trading. If you are like, I think 99.9% of the other people, you need a little bit of a helping hand. And that's exactly what Thor is. That's the only thing I've used to navigate those trades. That's it. No news, no Twitter, no whatever. Doesn't matter. I've just used the trading signals to help me have a really, I'd say, excitingly profitable period. And I didn't have to guess about it. So let's dig in. I'm sort of getting to a point where I'm looking for more of my macro trades. If you're just joining, this is really my bread and butter. And what I'm really excited to show people is that you don't have to be out there in the trenches over leveraging things to really get pretty profound returns. 36% in 3 weeks on a single trade is great. You know, and if you're not there conceptually to be happy about that, that's a you thing, not like a trading thing. That's a great return. So let's dig in. Let's see what we got, and let's see where the markets are today. And let's make some big macro plans again that we can revisit over the next couple of weeks. Everything we just planned checked out, except Jito. Jito did not hit our take profit levels at $2.60. So it's the one thing that we didn't really say, hurrah, yay, right on, but we'll get there. Time check, price check. Bitcoin trading at 104.5, Ethereum at 2,400 basically, and Solana at 164. Let's just go and look at some of the stuff. Where are we at? Render, Arbitrum, Bonk, Jupiter at 48. And Injective at 11.7. Where else did I want to see? I just want to see Jito real quick. Jito off the top 100 coins. You guys really effed everybody other than your seed investors. Thanks, guys. Love you. Jito at 185. So who gives a shit about what they're doing? Whatever. I am just taking trades to make money, and I'm stacking Bitcoin and I'm stacking Solana at this point. That's it for me. Solana, if you don't know, is the home base of our NFT. So obviously we have long-term investments just in Solana as a whole ecosystem, community, et cetera, and Bitcoin's king. But I've really transitioned away from spot holding for long investment periods of time right now. And I'm really just into make trades, make money, and then decide what to do from there, and largely double down on your conviction plays Bitcoin right now. So fun things around the market. Let me just go back to Bitcoin and we'll check Bitcoin out real quick. And I probably am going to go back to our subscription access to it. So I played Ethereum like a fiddle over the weekend. It was great. We had some stupid candles. And it was largely, we're not even looking at the candles here. This was take profit on a long back from over here at 240.50, something like that, 24.50. That's your take profit level 3 on that 15-minute long. Also, funny enough, right where we had a short, it did pump a little bit past the short. If you had an aggressive stop loss, you were probably stopped out. If you were a bit more like 1-to-1 R&R, I did not get stopped out, and all the way down to TP3, and I scaled out. So this right here, from here to here, and then down to here, bought us a new, nice, beautiful baby rocker. And we've just added that to our nursery. And that's what Thor did for me over the weekend. It's cool to talk about it in real terms. And that's what we'd like to do. When we have this like sort of douchey, like, hey, it can change your life. Like, I'll just start telling you how it's changing mine. Wife had an uncomfortable baby rocker. We're any day now expecting, and she was really nervous about it. And I had 2 great trades over the weekend, thanks to Thor. And I put those profits towards buying her a nice baby rocker. So that is one way Thor has changed my life, even since y'all have been following along. I don't document my trades over the weekends, and I don't really like to document day trading, because if people go through and look at these after the fact, it's just not really relevant information anymore. So anyways, Ethereum, cool, right on. Navigating back over to Tap Trade. If this is your first time, taptrade.io is the link. You can probably find it down below in the bio. You can navigate down and you can see the average hit rates for the last 30 days or the cumulative total since we've been tracking them. These percentages are the win rate on a 1 to 1.5 risk to reward, meaning that we hit at least take profit 1, and then that's a winning trade. Bitcoin over the last 30 days, absolutely insane. 84% win rate, really unreal at that 70% threshold we love to see. Cardano, 72. Ethereum, 71. Really crazy. And Solana at around 70% too, 68.5. If you're looking to see if what we say is true, you can do 2 things. You can see the data live, and it's not always perfect, and we show that. If it hits a virtual stop loss, or if it gets stopped out, or if it falls below and is invalidated, we wear our losses like we wear our wins proudly. And you'll see that the average return and the average win rate is still insane. So taptrade.io, and to find information on all of the assets, just click Thor up there in the right-hand corner. And you can exit out of this if you want. And then that's where you'll find all of the information on the assets. BNB, over the last 30 days, 93.8% win rate. That's insane. 75. I used to not care. I used to trade whatever I thought that I wanted to trade because I had some sort of partial bias to it or whatever. It wasn't until we really started putting this sort of information out on the website that even I personally was like, well, I'm going to trade BNB now. Duh. That's crazy. I'm going to trade Atom at 70%. I'm going to maybe not trade ARB because it's a 47%. It's below sort of mathematical threshold. Anyways, I really encourage y'all to test it for yourself. 1, ask the other community members who are using it, their own experiences. And 2, just follow along and see if anything that I say actually pans out to be true or not. You don't have to believe me at a glance. I really hope you don't. Don't be that fucking impressionable. It's cool when you have 2 weeks of, videos that you can go through and be like, hey, look at how all this worked out. And that's why we do these videos. So if you're looking to learn how to trade, if you're trying to trade, if you're still into trading, whatever the fuck, Thor's here to help you. So let's get into it. That was a fun 30-minute or maybe 15-minute lead in to actually trading. But you know what? That's what you get. A little bit of calls to action, a little bit of shilling, and then hopefully some good information. Now, if you're logging in for the first time, you don't have to have a subscription. You'll go to the Ask Thor page. I'm going to go ahead and start using the Ask Thor interface to make the signal requests, because this is how other people will follow along. Eventually, we will have the subscription model to 24-hour access to signals. But for now, it's a pay per request system. That's I think you can get up to 20% off if you use my affiliate link plus pay in our native cryptocurrency. And it's $5 a request. And hey, that sounds like a lot, but ideally, following along these videos and learning the theory that I teach eventually gives you the freedom to go and trade whatever you want, and using these signals to help you navigate. You can request signals on any of the available assets we have listed here, NASDAQ stocks, Forex signals with this formatting, or any of the SPL tokens, which are meme coins that live on Solana. We also have an available drop-down menu for all of these assets on your right-hand side that you can click and request signals on. Now, for us, I want to do a couple of things. I have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to just looking around the markets, because I do have that 24/7 access. But what I would suggest is finding an asset that you want to trade, either because you have some preferential bias towards it, you have whatever, maybe it's just Bitcoin, or maybe it's as simple as you say, hey, Andy, you just said that there's a 96% win rate over the last 30 days on BNB. Let's see if there are BNB signals. All of those are totally valid. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Not bonk, but we do love the dog. I'm going to go and check BNB because we have just been murdering it over the last 30 days. That's awesome. So I picked from the drop-down menu BNB as an asset, just denoted BNB USD. I am going to select how I'd like to pay. Let me just show that again. I can pay in our native cryptocurrency for a 10% reduction in tax or a fee, or I can pay in USDC. Now, I do have a reduced fee because our subscription does allow for like a sliding scale in terms of costs for requests. So it may look different on your end, but I'm going to pay in this to get a 10% discount. I'm going to have a wallet transaction. So you do have to have a Solana-based wallet, Phantom, or Soulflare, or Backpack wallet is what we recommend. Backpack wallet specifically. We're going to confirm that transaction. Now, we're going to do something real fun. We're going to wait for a little bit. So while you're waiting, you can request a refresh. Boop. You'll do a little refresh. Fun. And when you have access, when your signals populate, it can take a couple minutes. It'll pop up on this drop-down menu right here. Now, I have a ton of stuff right here, but you'll be able to just see BNB as a part, and you'll just select BNB. So we just ideally walked through, hopefully, maybe even your first experience using an Ask Thor signal, and ideally not your last. So now that I've gotten into this interface, there's a couple things going on. If you're really new to trading, we're not going to get too much into the candlestick theory here. We're going to expect for you to know some of it, but this is where you'll navigate between your time frames, and this drop-down menu is where you'll navigate through your available assets that you have access for 48 hours after you request a signal. So, fun. You can see other ones that I've requested down below. You can follow along some of your own stuff, WOG, some stocks that I've been requesting, and go from there. So I just want to look at BNB on the 1 day. Currently, Thor calling for an all-time high on BNB. That's pretty cool. Now, I'd love to wait around for that. If you're a BNB maxi, maybe you're taking some profit there. Maybe you're super stoked about that. Right on. I'm just looking at trade. I'm going to see what's up on this 1 hour right here. And I see two zones with two great returns. A 4 to an 8% trading delta on those. Those are trades I'll take. We're not anywhere near invalidation level. So let's just navigate back out a little bit. Boop. So you can see, I wouldn't call any of this a fair value gap, really. Maybe arguably right here, which is where that range is. And then you could say right here, which is the top of that range. So you got two signals on BNB. When you have two stacked signals, you don't want to throw your house at the first one. You want to allocate whatever amount of capital for your trade. Let's just say, all right, dude, I got $1,000 I want to trade BNB with. I've got 500 of that I'm willing to lose, which is crazy, but maybe it's 200. What's your R&R? You can do so by calculating your profit range. On a 4 to 8% range, me personally, I take a 1-to-1. I give that trade a lot of room to breathe. On a 1 hour, I might do a little bit smaller. And if I apply any leverage, that will change my own personal risk to reward. I'm happy just doing a 1x though, even just like a relative spot trade. That's fine with me. I don't need to go and over leverage that. I'm happy with 4 to 8. I'll put a decent chunk of change on it, to really capitalize on that swing, but I'll take whatever I want to put towards this trade, and let's get real with it here. I want to put, hypothetically, so let's not get real with it. Let's get really hypothetical with it. I want to hypothetically put 10 grand on this trade right here. I'm going to break up, probably personally, I don't mind being on the higher end of a range. I really don't. Look at the take profits compared to these two. Take profit one is 647 versus take profit on the lower level 640. You can tell that the take profits are within a relatively respectable range of each other. If I got this entry and if we continued to dip, thus activating this call, that take profit one, even with my entry up here, is still a profitable trade, right? You don't have to be a mathematician to look and say, hey man, if I bought 618 and we still dip to 600, well, at least 640 is still the likely take profit for this trade. And that's well above my entry point. When you get to over leveraging trades like this is when you can get into problems. You can do it. You can do it all day. But you need to know, all right, if I'm going to leverage myself to the gills, I need to know that there is still a range fairly close to, but still an impactful level lower. I'm going to take 65% of my capital right here. I'm not going to apply any leverage. I'm going to put the remainder 35% of the allocated capital at that range right there. I'm a big old get to the top. I don't really care. I really don't care. You can be as meticulous about this as you want to be. And if that's you as a person, I'm not going to sit here and talk shit. That's not me as a person. I got a ton of other stuff to do. I want to set simple entry points and set simple take profit points. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm literally personally going to take this trade. I'm going to buy BNB right here at 618. I'll probably get cute and break up that 65% a little bit down to the 615. And then I'm going to put the remaining 35% probably spread out in two orders again at 607 and then 603. That's as complicated as I need to make it. That's 4 orders broken up within what I assume is 2 relatively, stacked. There's a small gap in between range, and I'm not going to apply any leverage, and I don't really need to give a shit. It sounds boring. If you put 10 grand on the line and you make an 8% return, it's not a bad day. That's what some people make in a week, working 40 hours. So look, perspective is key here. If you take $1,000 and you put 10x leverage, really giving yourself that same $10,000 exposure to the signal, you do want to probably be a bit more cautious seeing signals stacked up like this. In a situation like this, if you're balling on a budget and if you're getting to where you're fucking grinding it out in the trenches, mad respect, first off. Second off, I get that leverage is a tool, but it's not one to be abused. THOR can help you maximize it. I might ignore this signal completely. If I'm sitting here as a leverage trader really trying to increase the probability of my gains, I am going to set it on the lower range. I am going to probably flip it 35% and then 65%. You see how the signals don't change, but the way that you personally execute them, it does. And that's where you learn how to do it. If you're applying leverage, I'm not talking shit, but I am saying that if you're really unfamiliar with it, or a new trader, or you don't have the history of being profitable, you know what I mean? Tone it down. You don't need 50x. 10x is still a ton. Just use these signals in a way that preps you for worst case scenario. And worst case scenario is long in fucking BNB with your entire bag at 618, and then it drops to 601 and you get liquidated or leveraged, deleveraged, whatever it is. So my personal trade, I said 65.35, 1x, just a spot buy. This is insanely low risk for me personally, if I had to take a guess at it. I also walked through how you could do it for leverage. You want to be aware with stacked signals how your leverage applies to your risk and your exposure. So we did BNB. That's fun. Hell yeah, right on. This is one of those funny signals that if and when we get there, people will be like, oh my God, what do you mean Thor called it? It just pumped. I don't think anybody has all-time highs on their radar for some of these assets right now. And in fact, like, the narrative isn't really supporting that even at all right now. And so when you as a trader have something that 95% of the effing time turned out to be right on something, you can look at a signal like this and you can maybe take it with a bit more weight. You don't have to just blindly think everything Thor says is right. In fact, you shouldn't. That's where a bunch of risk management comes into play. But dude, you're sitting here looking at information a lot of other traders don't have, or a perspective scenario that a lot of other people don't see. That's where Thor does take the guesswork out for me. I don't have to think about it. If I'm a BNB maxi, if I still had spot BNB, look, I bought a lot of BNB at $5. I sold it all already. You know what I mean? But like those types, those people that had that spot, that exposure to the markets for that length of time, and they're looking for their exit, whatever it is. It's another really cool tool in terms of Thor into how you can apply it. When do you want to take profit on your long-term macro spot holdings? Boom. Well, all-time high on the table. I really like that 1 hour signal though. And I like that plan for the 1 hour signal, and that's definitely more on the lines of, I'd say, active trading, which is fine. But I'm going to take that effing signal. So I'm going to do 2 more assets today, and we're going to start cutting these down a lot. Why? Because I'm not here to spoon feed you this. I'm here to show you how to use Thor, and you're supposed to go out and learn how to use it on your own and master it in your own strategy. And so going through and telling people what trades I'm taking, it's that whole give a man a fish, they eat for a day, teach a man to fish, they feed their family for the rest of their lives. I literally want you to learn how to fish. And if that's not your mentality going into it, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Not really. I don't know why I said that. Don't judge me too hard. Recording's hard. Content creation's weird. So I'm going to look at ETH real quick because we also have an insane hit rate on ETH over the last 30 days. I personally have loved trading ETH. Hell yeah, right on, baby. We're going to redo that short, it looks like. Super into that. Going to do that one again. The fun thing about trading is when you start becoming a profitable trader, your risk changes. I have money that I didn't have on Friday, today. That money, to me, when looking at a trade, now operates as a bit of an additional buffer to my risk. If I take 2 trades and I make $500 on them and I got $1,000 and then I take a risk to reward and I lose $250, did you lose $250 or did you make $750? That's a mentality thing. That's you as a trader needing to learn how to look at the fucking bright side of life, man. You made $750. You had 1 loss, right? You lost $250, but from a free $1,000. What are you crying about? No crying at the casino, but we don't gamble. We use Thor. So I love seeing this 1 hour signal. This is the same signal we basically took already. I already made a bunch of money on this. Right on. It says it wants to do it again. You can check the date to make sure that it's not like a relapse on the signal. And we're good. That was just generated today. good to go. 3 to 4%. That's my kind of shit right there. Apply 5x, apply 3x. Get yourself a 10% return. It's awesome. 15-minute, same shit. I'm going to set a short on Ethereum. Why? Well, I don't need to know a damn thing about Ethereum, but I do know that there's a 76% chance that it's going to work out, or a 70% chance on the 15-minute. 77. I don't care what's going on. I just care that these Thor signals hit. I'm going to take them, you know? So, I mean, that's pretty much it for the day. That's 2 trades. I was going to look at Bitcoin, but I think I'm going to stop there. There's no need. There's no need. There's no need. You don't have to go out and take every trade. That's the point of today's lesson. Is you don't have to go out, and if you're doing it all stressfully and trying to find every effing trade, master 1, master 2. I'm almost exclusively going to be trading the over 80% win rate signals on Thor. Why wouldn't I? That's just me being dumb at that point. So I'm trading a lot of ETH, and I'm going to trade BNB, and I'm going to trade anything that's mid to high 70s, and I'll navigate from there. It doesn't matter. These are 3 really good signals. The 15-minute signal and the 1-hour signal line up together. We love to see it. I'm not going to go long my way up into a short, because that's not how Thor works. You're just guessing at that point. You have invalidation levels. This is your plan. Use it to make your plan. Don't just freaking guess at it. I like seeing a 1 hour and a 15-minute signal basically replicated, exactly replicated. That gives me confluence in that trade. Since we've been to this zone once before, and since we had a big fat fair value gap right here, I'll probably set my trade on the lower side of this. One, it's already my style, you know, so like start shorting at 25.30. But also, just since we've been here once before, you know, I wouldn't be afraid to go a little bit front running on it too. You know, 25, 24, whatever. It's right there at the bottom of that. So anyways, I don't have to think about it more. I know where my short is, and I know where my take profit is. Now, in relation to your portfolio, how much are you hedging? Are you putting up a 10% trade? Are you yada, 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 yada? That's up for you to talk about. And in order for you to do so, visit taptrade.io, join our Telegram, and join a community of traders who are also using Thor and also have a different way of using it. Experience is the only way for you to learn as a trader. Unfortunately, that comes with good and bad experiences along the way. Getting back up on that horse is the best way to actually become a trader. Taking your licks when you get them, taking your wins when you get them, staying humble and staying confident. I've said it 100 times. Thor works. The algorithm's great. You're the hardest component of all of this, and so that's something that we all work towards in terms of traders to be better at every day. So, fun life lessons aside, trading's really effing hard. Not a lot of people do it. That's why there are hedge funds. That's why there are financial managers. It's hard. I am none of those things. I have learned how to self-custody, manage my own funds, and outperform almost anybody that I know trading and or using third-party services. And I have tons of friends in TradFi, all over the place. You know, we don't have to like get into anything crazy. I manage my own funds and I outperform every one of them that I've heard of. If you're getting 8% in the stock market every year, right on. You're still probably doing better than most people comparatively. If you're getting 14% in a year, right on. If you're getting 20% in a year, people start paying attention. When you're getting 30% in a year, that's when it becomes life-changing. So I only trade now. That's it. And obviously my, community management stuff with all of this content creation and everything like that. This didn't come from a need for us. This came from a commitment to helping other people change their lives, and that's really where we're at. We don't need to do a lot of this. We want to help people. And having been in the crypto markets specifically since 2013, there's a lot of vaporware, there's a lot of snake oil, and there's a lot of really bad actors. And there are a lot of people that just socially manipulate and take advantage of people and have sold people similar things to like what we're sitting here talking about right now. And that they've really largely just been an extractive, maybe even abusive, manipulative scam, whatever, you know. It's hard to know where good things come from, and it's hard to know what's real and what's not anymore. And my biggest encouragement to anybody watching these videos, and it's growing and it's getting more and more, you don't have to just, I'd say experience it for yourself. Try one Ask Thor signal. Try one Ask Thor signal. Join us Monday through Friday for any of our live trading classes. Join us in our Telegram and come and ask questions. That's the first barrier. Come and ask questions. Don't believe anything I say. Come and talk to not only just me, but a ton of other users who have been actively using our tools via the crypto markets for over 3 years now. They'll tell you their experiences firsthand, better than I can. So if you're looking to get into trading, if you want to learn more about Thor, we will be back on Wednesday. You can find any of our previously recorded videos on YouTube or TikTok, and you can find us at Tap Fintech, Tap_Fintech on Twitter, and we'll be there. So thanks for joining. Peace out. See y'all next time.